Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Magic Gamer 74. I am your host, Anthony Gamer, and today we're going to wrap up the expansion of Legends. For the past couple episodes, I've been discussing some of the great cards from this amazing expansion. It's quite a large expansion, and it's taken a few episodes. Besides the fact that it's a large episode, it also has a lot of great cards. Honestly, I would have to say this is one of my favorite expansions of the old ones. Actually, I'm trying to collect the set right now, but as you can see here, by looking in this book, I've got a lot of empty slots. I got a ways to go, but I've got a few of the expensive cards from the set, but not all of them, and it's going to take me a while to get all of them. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm actually going to get some of the real expensive cards, as some of those cards are quite expensive and also are more than my house note. So, but you never know, things do happen. Also, if you'd like to learn more about the characters or the legends behind Legends and some of the stories, check out some of the Magic the Gathering novels. This is the Magic Legends cycle. This is book one about Johann, one of the legends that is discussed in the book, in the game itself, and one of the more popular cards. These books are pretty easy to come by and aren't that valuable. I actually got this book for a really low price. There's 3 books in the series, and there are also other books that detail the Brothers' War, which we'll talk about when we get to the later expansion, including the next one, as our next expansion will be Antiquities. So, before I go any further, please make sure that you read the disclaimer down below, as it will save both of us a lot of headaches. And if you like what you see on this channel, please let me know by giving me a big thumbs up, share with your friends and family if you think it's worth sharing, and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to click that little bell icon down there so you'll be notified when I upload new material. Also, if you'd like to challenge me in the arena, I'm easy to find. My name is Classic Gamer 74, and you'll see that right down here. So if you feel that you can do it, meet me in the arena and we'll find out. Also, if you live in the Chicagoland area and you'd like to play a for real game, let me know. I'm always looking forward to find new people to pound on. So I would love to see how good you are. Anyway, we got a lot of cards to cover, so without further ado, let's get into the cards. Alright, now we're going to start off with green, and the first card we have today is Aisling Leprechaun. It's a 1/1 creature that casts for 1 green. I really love to recommend 1/1 creatures that cast for 1. Alright, so whenever Aisling Leprechaun blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, that creature becomes green. Okay, if you'd like to add this to your green deck or for your own Legends collection, it's not going to cost you much. This card currently is worth around 96 cents. Now next up we have a very unique card. This is Avoid Fate. It casts for 1 green. It's an interrupt, or instant, Counter target instant or aura spell that targets a permanent you control. A green counter. Oh wow, that is a once-in-a-lifetime card. If you'd like to add this card to your collection, it's not too expensive. It's worth around $5, and it has been reprinted 1 time. Alright, and next up we have Barbary Apes. These guys cast for 1 colorless and 1 green. It's a 2/2, so 2 for 2 for 2. If you'd like to add this card to your green deck, it's not too expensive. It currently is worth around $4. Alright, and next up we have Concordant Crossroads. This enchantment casts for 1 green, and it gives all creatures have haste. Now, remember, this is a world enchantment. It doesn't just mean your creatures, it means all creatures. If you'd like to add this card to your collection, it's going to cost you a little bit. It's currently worth around $105, but it has been reprinted several times. Alright, and next up we have a pretty fun card. This is Floral Spasm. It is a 2/2 creature that casts for 3 colorless and 1 green.
Whenever Floral Spasm attacks and isn't blocked, you may destroy target artifact defending player controls. If you do, Floral Spasm assigns no combat damage this turn. This is really fun if you like to play against people that love artifacts. And this card won't set you back too much. It currently is worth right at $4. Next up, we have another fun creature. This is a Hornet Cobra, a card that my wife would love. This 2/1 creature casts for 1 colorless and 2 green. It has first strike. Yep. Strangely that you find a snake that doesn't have Death Touch or make poison counters, but still, if you'd like to add this card to your collection, it's not going to cost you very much, as this card is currently worth 27 cents. And next up, we have a card that should be in every green deck. Oh yeah, I will go on record as saying that. If you play green, you must have this card. This is Killer Bees. The 0/1 flyers cast for 1 colorless and 2 green. But the best part, they're pumpers. For 1 green, Killer Bees get +1/+1 until end of turn. And if you're playing your green correctly, you should be able to get out land very quickly and make these very powerful. I was playing against my daughter years ago, and she pumped her Killer Bees up to 30-30. Oh boy, 30-31, excuse me. Wow. Whew. Anyway, if you'd like to add this card to your collection, the Legends edition will cost you $56, but it has been reprinted several times. So again, add this card to your green deck or any deck with green. All right, next up we have another interesting card. This is Master of the Hunt. This creature casts for 2 colorless and 2 green. It's a 2/2 creature. Now, listen carefully to the text. For 2 colorless and 2 green, create a 1/1 green wolf creature token named Wolves of the Hunt. It has bands with other creatures named Wolves of the Hunt. Any creature named Wolves of the Hunt can attack in a band as long as at least one has bands with other creatures named Wolves of the Hunt. Bands are blocked as a group. If at least 2 creatures named Wolves of the Hunt you control, one of which has bonds with other creatures named Wolves of the Hunt, are blocking or being blocked by the same creature, you divide that creature's combat damage, not its controller, among any of the creatures it's being blocked by or is blocking. Okay. Now, this card's a little on the expensive side, as it is currently worth $70, but I do have some good news for those of you that would like to get a card similar to this, but not pay that much for a card. And that is this card called Master of the Wild Hunt. It is a 3/3 creature that casts for 2 colorless and 2 green. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Tap all untapped wolf creatures you control. Each wolf tapped this way deals damage equal to its power to target creature. That creature deals damage equal to its power divided as its controller chooses among any number of those wolves. Pretty cool card. Cast for the same amount, but it's a little bit easier to understand and use. And best of all, this card will currently run you about $2.16. That's a big price difference. All right, next up we have Rajin Spirit. This 3/2 creature casts for 3 colorless and 1 green. Tap her. Target creature loses flying until end of turn. Great card, and I love the artwork on this. Christopher Rush is an amazing artist. If you'd like to add this to your collection, it's not very expensive. It's currently priced at $2.60, and it has been reissued several times. Okay, next up we have Reincarnation. This instant casts for 1 colorless and 2 green. Choose target creature. When that creature dies this turn, return a creature card from its owner's graveyard to the battlefield under the control of that creature's owner. Pretty cool. If you would like to get a hold of this card, it's not going to cost you too much. It's currently worth around $9.42, and it was reprinted 1 time. All right, next up we have a pretty badass card, and that is Stormseeker. This instant casts for 3 colorless and 1 green. Stormseeker deals damage to target player equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. This is really good to be playing against somebody who likes to use Reliquary Tower or other cards that let them hold as many cards as they want in their hand. Pretty nice. This card is not too expensive. It's currently worth about $13.11, and it has been reprinted. All right, next up we have a card that I myself really do like to play with, and that is Whirling Dervish. This 1/1 creature casts for 2 green. He has protection from black. At the beginning of each end step, if Whirling Dervish dealt damage to an opponent this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and these stay on. So if you have an opponent that's having a hard time getting out creatures, you could potentially make your Whirling Dervish pretty powerful. If you like to get this card, it's not going to cost you too much. It's currently worth about $14, and it has been reprinted several times. And next up, our final green card is the Willow Satyr. This 1/1 creature casts for 2 colorless and 2 green. You may choose not to untap Willow Satyr during your untap step. Tap. Gain control of target legendary creature for as long as you control Willow Satyr, and Willow Satyr remains tapped. I got this card a few years ago before it became kind of valuable. I don't exactly remember where. I think I may have bought it in a collection. It's a pretty cool card. However, it's going to set you back a little bit if you'd like to get it. It currently is worth around $109, and it was not reprinted. And next we're going into the color red, the color of chaos. And our first card for today is a really fun one, and that is Blazing Effigy. This 0/3 creature casts for 1 colorless and 1 red. When Blazing Effigy dies, it deals X damage to target creature, where X is 3 plus the amount of damage dealt to Blazing Effigy this turn by sources named Blazing Effigy. If you'd like to add this card to your collection, it's pretty affordable. Right now, it's worth around 45 cents. Alright, next up we have a card that can really be a lot of fun, and that is Chain Lightning. This sorcery costs you 1 red. Chain Lightning does 3 damage to any target. Then that player or that permanent's controller may pay 2 red. If that player does, they may copy the spell and may choose a new target for that copy. Imagine playing this against someone else playing red, or a group of people playing red. They can bounce the 3 damage all over the place. I've seen it happen, and it's kind of cool. If you like to add this card to your collection or put in any red deck, it will cost you $10.64, but this card has been reprinted a couple times. Alright, next we begin the kobolds. These are cool creatures to have in your deck. I actually have a kobold deck, and last night I beat 1 person, and then I beat 2 people with that deck. Crimson Kobolds cast for 0, and they are a 0/1 creature, so add 4 of them to your deck. If you'd like to add this card to your red deck or build a kobold themed deck, this card will cost you $2.83, and it has not been reprinted. Alright, speaking of crimson, as we are in the color red, here is another one of my favorite cards, and that is the Crimson Manticore. I just love Manticores, period. This 2/2 flyer casts for 2 colorless and 2 red. Tap 1 red, tap it. Crimson Manticore does 1 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. If you'd like to add this to your collection or to a red deck, it will currently cost you around $16, but it has been reprinted several times. Okay, and the kobolds are back again. These are Crookshanks kobolds. They also cast for 0, and they are 0/1 creatures. And if you would like to add these little buggers to your red deck or to your collection, they will currently cost you $2.71, and they have not been reprinted. This card is really useful along with Holy Day for white and Fog for green. This is Feint. This instant tap Cast for 1 red. Tap all creatures blocking target attacking creature. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by that creature and each creature blocking it. So, like I said, it's like a red fog, more or less. If you'd like to add this card to your collection, it will cost you 57 cents. So try to get 4 of them in each deck that has red, if you can. This next card used to be a staple of red decks. You don't see it too much anymore, but back in the day, pretty much anyone that played red used this card, and that is Giant Strength. This enchantment or aura casts for 2 red. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2, and it stays there. It's not just till end of turn. So if you'd like to add this card to your collection, I've got great news. It's really inexpensive. The card will cost you around 25 cents, and it has been reprinted several times. All right, and next we have Glyph of Destruction. I selected this card because it's very inexpensive, and walls are making a comeback these days. This instant card casts for 1 red. Target blocking wall you control gets +10/+0 until end of combat. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to it this turn. Destroy it at beginning of the next end step. If you would like to add this to your red deck, it's very inexpensive. The card will cost you 28 cents, and it has not been reprinted. And next up, we have Gravity Sphere. This is a world enchantment. It casts for 2 colorless and 1 red. All creatures lose flying. Now, this is really good if you're playing against somebody who loves to play with angels. It will really ruin their day. However, on the same token, you can't use anything that flies, but, if you're playing a goblin deck, you may not have many flyers anyway. Bad news is this card is a little on the expensive side. It is currently worth $92, and it was not reprinted. One of the great things about kobolds is that the basic ones cast for 0, and even though they're 0/1 creatures, there are some other cards that will help to pump them up in either offense or defense. One of those is the Kobold Drill Instructor. This creature casts for 1 colorless and 1 red. Other kobold creatures you control get +0/+1 and have trample. Yep. If you'd like to add this to your kobold deck, it won't cost you too much. It's currently worth around $15. Unfortunately, it has not been reprinted. Speaking of kobold pumpers, we have the Kobold Overlord. This 1/2 creature casts for 1 colorless and 1 red. First strike. Other kobold creatures you control have first strike. This one's going to set you back a little bit. Luckily, I got it a few years ago when it was a lot less expensive, and the price seems to be going up with this one. If you'd like to add this to your kobold deck, it's going to cost you $111, and it has not been reprinted. All right, and next up we have the Kobold Taskmaster. This 1/2 creature casts for 1 colorless and 1 1 red. Okay, other kobold creatures you control get +1/+0. I've got 4 of these in my kobold deck, as it's not too expensive, and definitely you want to pump those 0/1s up as much as you can. This card is not too expensive. It's currently worth $10.52, and it was reprinted 1 time in the Time Spiral Time Shifted, which is what I use. All right, and next we have Kobolds of Kirkeep. These little buggers cast for 0, and they're 0/1 creatures. Pretty cool. Now, if you would like to add these to your Kobold deck, they're not too expensive. They'll currently cost you about $3.24, and they were not reprinted. Now, while we're on the subject of kobolds, I wanted to mention a couple cards to help you out if you decide to build a kobold deck. Now, many of you know that there is a Legends card of Roga Kirkeep Overlord. I would not recommend playing it, though, because it does have an upkeep that you have to pay. However, there was a version that was reprinted in Dominaria United Commander, and that is this one, the Roga Kerkeep Overlord. It casts for 3 colorless, 1 black, and 1 red. He is a 4/4. Other kobolds you control get +2/+2. Whenever you cast a kobold spell, you may pay 2 colorless. If you do, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. Whenever you cast a dragon spell, create a 0/1 red kobold creature token named Kobolds of the Kerkeep. Kind of a neat card. And unlike the Legends card, again, that costs $80 and has upkeep, this one doesn't. And this card will only run you around 25 cents. And next up, we have another Kobold-related card, and that is Kerkeep itself. This legendary land was in the Time Spiral expansion, and this land adds colorless mana. Tap 1 colorless, 1 red, and tap it, and create a 0/1 red kobold creature token named Kobolds of Kerkeep. So with these 2 added on cards, you can pretty much make your own little kobold army. It's not going to set you back too much, as this card itself is only worth around 85 cents. Okay, back to Legends. I just wanted to add that little extra thing there for those of you that may be interested in building a kobold deck. Anyway, next up we have Raging Bull. This 2/2 creature casts for 2 colorless and 1 red. Yeah, pretty cool card. I just love the artwork and the flavor text. Sometimes the bulls win and sometimes the bears win, but the bulls have more fun. If you'd like to add this fun card to your collection, it won't cost you too much. It's currently worth around $1.35. All right, and next up we have the Brute. Ooh, it's a mean-looking sucker, isn't it? But it's actually not a creature, it's an enchantment. It casts for 1 colorless and 1 red. Enchant creature. Enchanting creature gets +1/+0. Tap 3, tap 3 red, regenerate enchanted creature. If you'd like to add this enchantment to your red deck, it's not going to cost you too much. It's currently worth around 40 cents, and it has been reprinted several times. All right, next up we have Wall of Dust. This wall casts for 2 colorless and 1 red. It's a defender. This creature can attack. Whenever Wall of Dust blocks a creature, that creature can't attack during its controller's next turn. And it's a 1/4. Pretty cool, huh? If you'd like to add this Wall of Dust to your collection, it won't cost you too much. It's currently worth around $3.05, and it has been reprinted 1 time. Okay, next up, our last red card, and that is Winds of Change. It casts for 1 red. Each player shuffles the cards from their hand into their library, then draws that many cards. Kind of neat, huh? The card itself is a little on the expensive side, even in the reprints. The Legends card is worth around $28.17, but I have good news. There is a card that does the same thing and won't set you back as much. That is Molten Psyche. It casts for 1 colorless and 2 red. Each player shuffles the cards from their hand into their library and then draws that many cards. Metalcraft. If you control 3 or more artifacts, Molten Psyche deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of cards that player has drawn this turn. Yeah, get you a little bit extra there. And this card won't set you back much. It is currently worth $3.15, but was not reprinted. All right, and finally, we are into white. It's taken a little longer than I thought it would, but it's a big set with a lot of great cards. So let's continue. Next up, we have the Amru Kithkin. I love this creature. I love the artwork. It's so cute. This is a 1/1 creature that casts for 2 white. Amru Kithkin can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. Yep. If you'd like to add this card to your white deck, it will run you around 27 cents, and it has been reprinted a couple times. All right, next up we have Diavinant Archer. This 1/2 creature casts for 2 colorless and 1 white. Tap it. Diavinant Archer deals 1 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. If you would like to add this to your collection, good news, it's really inexpensive. It's currently worth around 28 cents, and it has been reprinted several times. Alright, and next up we have Divine Intervention. This enchantment casts for 6 colorless and 2 white. Divine Intervention enters the battlefield with 2 intervention counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an intervention counter from Divine Intervention. When you remove the last intervention counter from Divine Intervention, the game is a draw. Okay, I could see using this if you were in a game that you cannot possibly win, but you don't want your opponent to win. However, this card is very expensive. It is currently worth around $219.99, and it has not been reprinted. Alright, next up we have Glyph of Life. This instant casts for 1 white. Choose target wall creature. Whenever that creature is dealt damage by an attacking creature this turn, you gain that much life, which is kind of cool, especially if you have someone coming at you with a really big creature. You may lose your wall, but you're going to take whatever that creature's power is and add it to your life, which is a good thing. This card is currently worth 31 cents and was not reprinted. I mentioned this card earlier briefly. This is Holy Day. This instant casts for 1 white. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. Definitely a card that you should have in every white deck. If you're playing white and green, get 4 of these and 4 fogs. It can really save your butt in a tight battle. If you'd like to add this card to your collection or a white deck, which you should, it's pretty inexpensive. The card itself is worth $1.49, and it has been reprinted quite a few times. And next we have another instant. This is Indestructible Aura. It casts for 1 white. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to target creature this turn. Neat card to use, especially for those of you that have creature love. And don't tell me you're not out there, because I've met you on Arena. If you'd like to get this card, it won't cost you very much. It's 38 cents, and it was reprinted in Chronicles. And next up, we have Keepers of the Faith. This is a card you used to see a lot back in the day with people that played white. Not so much anymore. Keepers of the Faith is a 2/3 creature that casts for 1 colorless and 2 white. Like I said, kind of popular back in the day, not so much anymore. However, it's not very expensive. If you'd like to get a hold of it, it's 24 cents, and it was reprinted 1 time in Chronicles. If you ever have one of those opponents that just seems to get out cards and land stuff really quickly, well, this is a card that will definitely slow them down. This is Kismet. This enchantment casts for 3 colorless and 1 white. Artifacts, creatures, and lands your opponent control enter the battlefield tapped. Not just one opponent. If you're playing multiple people, it can slow them down too, and pretty much make you an instant target. Regardless, it's a pretty fun card. If you'd like to add it to your collection, it's not that expensive. It's around $19.39, but it has been reprinted several times. Now, this next one's a pretty fun card. Wish I had it. This is Land Tax. It costs 1 white. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you may search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Yep. Really good against, I would say, green, one of those colors that seems to get land out really quickly if you build your deck the right way. This card's kind of on the expensive side. It will run you right around $78, but it has been reprinted a few times, but they're a little on the expensive side too. Next up, we have one of the most expensive cards in Legends, and that is Moat. This enchantment casts for 2 colorless and 2 white. Creatures without flying can't attack. Kind of neat, especially if you're playing against somebody who loves playing with angels or dragons. However, this card is quite expensive. It currently is worth around $1,450. But I have good news. You have a card that does the exact same thing, and that is Magus of the Moat, and it casts for the same, 2 colorless and 2 white. But instead of an enchantment, it's a creature, and it's a 0/3 creature that creatures without flying can't attack. And the best part, The card is very reasonable. You can actually get it from the Future Sight expansion for $4. Okay, and next up we have Spirit Link. This enchantment casts for 1 white. Enchant creature. Target a creature as you cast this. This card enters the battlefield attached to that creature. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage, you gain that much life. Now, amazingly, this is a card that you may not only cast to one of your creatures, but one of your opponents. Imagine your opponent having a Sheevan Dragon and they love to pump it. Well, guess what? Every time that sucker attacks, you gain life. Nice. This card's a little expensive, but not too bad. If you like to add it to your collection, it will currently cost you $19, and it has been reprinted several times. Alright, and next up we have a card that I like to play with in my white deck, and that is Spiritual Sanctuary. This enchantment casts for 2 colorless and 2 white. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, if that player controls a plains, they gain 1 life. Yeah, it's 1 life, but, if you build your white deck correctly, you should be gaining life very often. This card's a little on the expensive side. If you would like to get a hold of it, it will currently cost you around $26, and it was not reprinted. Next up, we have probably one of my favorite cards from the Legends expansion, and probably the cheapest. That is Tundra Wolves. These creatures cast for 1 white. They are 1/1s with first strike. With a lot of the cards in recent expansions targeting wolves and having wolves pump each other, adding this card and the Wily Wolves from Arabian Nights would probably be a great idea. If you'd like to add this to your wolf deck, it will cost you 56 cents, and it has been reprinted several times. And our final card for today, and probably the most frequently found card in Legends. I've seen this card pop up in just about every open pack I've ever seen someone open, and that is Visions. It's a sorcery that casts for 1 white. Look at the top 5 cards of target player's library. You may then have that player shuffle that library. Kind of neat. Even though the card seems to pop up quite frequently in booster packs, it's a little kind of expensive. If you'd like to grab this card, it will currently cost you about $5.41, and it was reprinted 1 time. I just love the artwork too. That is so cool. And that brings this episode of Magic Gamer 74 to an end. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. If you have, this was a long one, but when you come to an expansion like Legends that has a lot of cards and a lot of great cards, it's going to take a little while. In our next episode, we're going to discuss great cards from antiquities. So I hope to see you all in the next episode. Game with me on Arena. And to all the Planeswalkers out there, I will see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye for now.